Reddit. You've been woke, you get fed your feed, cause it's what you need. You're just a planted seed, you live asleep, but you'll wear the mask cause it's what they ask. Welcome to the lab, you're gonna get the jab. Why are we so goddamn obedient? I don't know, but I know that it's so. We're just like dogs. Whoa, HFR in the studio, coming in here with an original tune, Matt, I wrote years ago called We're Just Like Dogs. We're going to have a couple feeds here today that are going to kind of bear this out, man. We're going to bear this out. Like a dog doesn't ask questions, does it? Does a dog ask questions?
Sometimes no. When it's hungry.
No, it begs when it's hungry. Doesn't ask questions.
Sure.
It just begs. I got a lot of questions, Matt. And I'm going to leave the studio here for a second. CPI better than expected, or PPI?
PPI, yeah.
PPI. Barely better than expected. Definitely barely.
I said apparently, Adam.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
We just wait on price discovery. I don't really give a shit about the headline myself.
Right.
Let me share, because had you thought PPI was going to be hot, I think it was kind of like this on your trading day. Whoa! How about my guy? They come run and they rescue him. Like, it's okay. And then he gets brought right back into the ring of fire. Gorgeous. All right, we're going to stop that, man. And then you also shared this inside the network. Long distance. Chain-smoking grandpa runs marathon in 3.5 hours. Who had that? Who had the over?
Well, and it also said in the article that he either had a cig in his mouth the entire time or was lighting one. So he was never without. And in the one picture, like, he's got a lighter and the pack. But my question is, what's a cig last? Like 7 or 8 minutes? Probably a little less when you're inhaling strong like he was.
We didn't even talk about it. Let's go. Let's right away. Let's go price discovery. Let's go to Philip Morris, one of our great charts that we love to look at. And both of us have been preaching it for over a year now.
Yeah.
By the way, they were paying 8% well before the curve started moving.
And they're paying 8.5 still today. And
long darts. Here we go.
It's hanging in the range. It gets down here to the low 40s and then jacks back up to high 40s, 20% move. So you can trade it while collecting that dividend too, right?
Especially like if you don't want to actually lose the stock, you can for sure sell the shit out of calls when it gets back to the top end.
So again, they kind of missed on earnings here a little bit. Reported.
Well, they didn't know their new marketing campaign yet.
Well, they didn't know that the track and field community was going to be picking up, so much, because that's a whole new market for them that they weren't expecting. In China, for sure. Like in China, everybody runs and smokes. Apparently.
Apparently there's particulate in the air that is causing heart attacks.
But the dividend's still 8.5%, 8.55 today, $78 billion market cap, trades averages about 7.5 million shares a day. So trade the mother and own it. It's paying you a big coupon.
Again, man, there's a way to trade this by owning it and then just trading the options around it.
Yep.
And believe me, if it went up there, where was the highs there? 57?
Yeah, all the way up here. Yeah, 57.35. Yeah,
57. If somewhere in there you're selling the $60 calls, and you're like, the greatest thing that could happen to you is they call it away from you. I mean, sometimes you got to think of, well, I don't want to be out of the stock. Yeah, but if it went to $60, would you want to be out of the stock? I mean, you got to start thinking about it like that. And you can always buy it back.
Yep.
You can always buy it back if you want to be a long-term hodler.
Right.
Exactly. Hodl this. Bend over and hodl this. Matt, speaking of hodling, The memes are fantastic around the whole FTX thing.
Yeah.
I saw the Nigerians, one of them ripping on these people, never, like, how do you not question all of it now, right? She's running a $10 billion hedge fund. She's never traded in her life.
How about the thread about the, they financed the study to kill ivermectin?
I mean, there's more questions. There's more
questions.
I
have questions.
There's more questions.
And were they short Merck when that was happening? Like, what was going on there?
Well,
That's interesting.
They're pretty shitty traders.
I'm going to throw that out there. I'm going to throw that out there because were they short Merck when that was happening?
Well, here, let me just paraphrase this because I can't get the audio to work.
Ken Griffin?
Yeah, he just says right there, the balance sheet FTX, there's a line that's called Trump loses.
Yeah.
Trump lose.
Yeah. So
second biggest donor.
So there is election rigging going on. What is that a question?
I don't know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And again, the New York Times, somebody shared that little thread here. Darren J. Beadle, the puff piece on Ray Epps and a whitewash piece on Sam Bankman-Fried never mentions one thing about the donations.
Right.
And it's pretty easy to go down a lot of rabbit holes.
Yep.
Matt, for sure here, what I wanted to do though is I wanted to get the prices covered because so far nobody has come up with a legitimate storyline, conspiracy theory on where the money went. They didn't lose it down the well. They didn't just like, oh, I lost the keys to all the money. Like they took customer money and they traded it is what they're saying and invested it in other companies, other startups, other crypto things, ideas. So that money I can see can just evaporate, right? You give somebody $10 million, but we're talking billions here. So my question to you is, if they lost the money, who's holding the bag? Like somebody, if they're leveraged stock trading, somebody's allowing them to have margin lines, right? That they couldn't fund anymore.
The first question is who is custodian these if they were trading stocks and options and equities and bonds, who is holding that bag?
And so exactly. So naturally, if you have that conversation in your head, you're like, well, it's got to be the biggest
question.
So for me, it's pretty simple. It's got to be the biggest banks out there, right?
Probably. They're awfully quiet.
There's our question. Well, and then somebody shared this too, and we're going to get to the banks here in a second. Thanks to KYC AML regulations, the criminals at FTX now have the name, address, and passport details of millions of individuals. Well, not only do the criminals at FTX have it, but now the regulators should be able to come in and have pretty damn good forensic ability to get down to these questions that we have. But if they were leveraged trading stocks and lost all the money, like somebody's holding that bag, Matt. And so let's look at, we don't know this. I don't know where this paper trail goes, but it's got to be some big investment banks that were, you guys want to trade? Yeah, you guys are, and maybe they just took the other side of all their shitty trades.
Yeah,
and that's where the money is. It's in the bottom line of JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. They made the money.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very evident possibility. And I mean, look at this move and maybe that's why Goldman's up so big, because they were counterparty to her trades and her lack of stop losses, and they ran the shit out of them. And maybe she was long all the stocks and they were short. And now that's why we've rallied. I mean, look at this rally, 287 to 387. Wow. I mean, that's a 380.
Getting to a nice risk reward defined area here though in Goldman. No?
Yeah. Well, this is a 610 chart. So we're getting back to the top of this value zone. And are we going to take out the high from last year and go through it? That would be,
amazing.
So it's hard to
how close they are.
It's hard to believe that, we're less than 7-8% off the high in Goldman Sachs, and maybe a recession is never coming, I guess. So
well, I got to tell you, our thread thought here is, and again, what is $12 billion to their bottom line?
Right.
I got to tell you, whoa. Chat. We're getting feedback.
Every time.
Feedback.
Every time Mark
feedback.
Stop that.
Feedback.
Mark. Stop.
Lee, you got to corral the chat.
Corral the chickens.
My question to you,
Here's, yeah, what's your question?
My question is that money even a blip on the radar? We live in a world now where they talk trillions like it's, and honestly, God, that talk was why, from what I read, why Elon Musk was like, what? The guy's just got 3 billion loose change to invest. He's like, I don't believe the guy's got the money the way he's talking about it.
Right.
Just, I don't know.
Well, here's JP Morgan again, a heck of a run, 30% run. It's the same move, right? Goldman's up 30% in the same during, the turn in the market. Goldman's up 30, JP Morgan's up 30, the indices are up 12, right? After today's PPI number. And that's in 4 trading days. We're up 12%, by the way, 4 trading days. So we've gone from 3,700 up to 4,050 today. I mean, it's just hard to believe. Like, those numbers are insane in 4 trading days. So yeah, I mean, JP Morgan again, it could cruise back up here to 150. I would be a seller up into this meet up here, 150 to 170. Call, some type of spreading up going on up in that area. So yeah, and why couldn't we? I mean, this is really where the 148 is about, where it starts to come in and gets a little heavier for the buyers to get through. So I don't know. That does not look. It's a great bounce, that's for sure. 173, we're kind of at the half back almost also. So that gets you to about $35, $36 as half back of this total move from 173 to 101, which again is lining up with, if the SPOOs get to 4150, that's half back. So everything, the market's kind of doing this, right? The market, you're looking at these stocks down, some of these insane moves. And I think, I saw something again yesterday and I think I put it in the network, but I think we have the lowest level of shorts that we've seen in quite some time. That was put out by Goldman Sachs. So that makes sense too. It's like, since the 2020 period, like we had less, we have less shorts than we did sometime in the spring of 2020 after that whoosh came down. So, they're taking everybody out. There's no shorts left in the market, hence easy drift up. That's why we've, the shorts have pushed this faster and harder than if, they were selling into it, but the shorts have been covering. And I think that's kind of what you're seeing here. And that's why these markets move so swiftly. Now you get to find out, are there real buyers or were the shorts the only ones buying?
Correct.
That's the next question, right? That's the next question I have. And that's where price discovery will tell us there's real buyers continuing to buy. If we go through 4150, if we go through 4200, right? It's one step at a time. But until that happens, I don't know. You don't know. And all we do know, speaking of price discovery, is there's going to be a lot of, KY jelly being promoted here.
Well, the question is how much lube was deployed on the FTX deal, and how many people didn't get any? Well, anybody that lost their money there. This story is not going away. All right. The political connections, the New York Times cannot write about it, but it's not going away. It doesn't mean it's just going to disappear. They can try not to have this be on the radar of anybody, but there's too much money involved. And there's got to be some other counterparty risk. That's the whole deal. There's counterparty risk. Or did they just make the money? Did the investment bank say these people have no idea what they're doing? We're going to let them leverage, and then we're taking all their money. That's what we're going to do. Yeah. And I guarantee you that was probably said in a meeting. These people have no idea what they're doing. Let's take all their money.
Right.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That's the way.
I'm sure that conversation was had by many smarter people. Yeah, who were, again, who understand Wall Street, understand the game, the mechanics of markets, and have the inside deck to be able to see, right? I mean, that's again, the Chinese wall is only so thick, and these guys aren't stupid, and they're not going to do something unless they think they can make money. So yeah, I'm sure they were counterparty.
Yes.
I mean,
100%. Man, I just want to show a little tickle. Can I show a little tickle? We talked this yesterday.
Yep.
The quarterly, it's funny. We talked about it yesterday. Then somebody shared, and I should have brought this up to pay them some homage, because they shared the quarterly profile. All right. And on the quarterly profile, they were like, there's going to be an argument up here. on the quarterly profile. And I said, you know what, that's funny. I just shared the quarterly profile, NASDAQ futures, quarterly continuation chart, 12,155. We got up to 12,000. Well, let's just see what it is exactly. Yeah, 12,150. We made a high of 12,118. Good enough for government work on the tickling here, Matt. It's an important level, and it will remain an important level for the rest of the year. So I just want to point it out that the first near attempt of that level was rejected this morning's rally. I don't know. I thought it was interesting share yesterday, and also the longer term profile that somebody shared on Twitter, coming up with the same type of analysis. Like there's a lot of hands ready to play here at this level.
Yeah, there are. And, it's interesting. Like when I was looking at the NASDAQ chart earlier today, and one of the things that I noticed was on the longer term chart, I was looking at the 610, which is about as long as I like to look at most of the time. I don't like to go quarterly like you, but this is a 610 chart, and this goes back, basically a year and a half. And again, we're not even to the value zone in the 610 chart,
which is what?
12.3 or so, 12.3.
All right. So, and for government work, pretty much the same area. Yeah. 150 points from that monthly or quarterly average. Now, again, that is a giant value range too, and if they can penetrate it and build time and volume,
if they can start closing on a Friday inside of it, well, they got a long way to go up here to 15,000. Basically, I think it would probably drift up there. Again, my timing on all this, if I'm looking at it, I think we stay somewhat strong here into the end of the year, into the next earnings. But I don't know if that really gets us into here. And at some point, if it does, then at some point there's going to be a good short, I think, coming into the quarterlies that we're going to have in January. Now, Walmart, on that note, had their earnings and they kind of blew it out here. I mean, again, look at this was when they warned, right? We were trading right about where we are again. So it's an interesting chart, and I'd like to get your feedback on it also, because we haven't talked about it, but this is a bellwether for the world, and really
sold. Let's face it, Matt, credit card debt is at an all-time historic high, and it blew out in the last 3 months.
Yeah,
which for sure helps these retailers.
Yeah. So again, 150 got over 150, and that's right to the top of this band again on the 610 chart. So we went through all the way into value. This was us coming into the earnings, and we were sitting balanced basically. And so, okay, we're back up here, but have we really done anything except kind of get to, better prices to sell again? That's really all I see. So we went from 117, and the earnings, what did they do? They had $1.50 over $1.30. Again, blew out the revenues, great numbers, blah, blah, blah. But, moving forward, I didn't see what their guidance was. They only pay a 1.6% dividend. So if, you're better off buying the smokes. You're better off buying the smokes right now.
100%. And Sam, and not Sam Bank Fried Chicken, Sam Walton and your friends, you got to do better than that. You just got to. You got to. Like we're gonna do mocking of dividends. Today's dividend mock. Like, are you shitting me? That's what you're paying your people. It's not even. It's 10% less than inflation.
It's pretty.
It's embarrassing. It's 10x less than inflation.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing. It really is.
It is.
But hey, let's talk a little bit about the celebration going on in Miami.
Please tell me about it. I've apparently been under a rock.
The 50-year run continues. The Dolphins still are the only undefeated.
Oh yeah.
NFL team.
We were talking about it last night. Like Sam Bonicani, Nick Bonicani. Nick. Sam's on my mind now. I can't get anything out without Sam coming out. Nick Bonicani, Bob Greasy, Paul Warfield. Who else? Who else on the 72?
Garo Upremian.
Garo Upremian, the Mad Norwegian, for sure. One of the great Fumbleruski attempted, Larry Zonka. I mean, talk about They broke the mold on that guy.
Old school Pollock.
They broke the mold on it. He would just, you want to tackle me? Yeah, I like tackling drills. Let's go.
Mercury Morris.
Mercury Morris, fantastic. Who else we got? 72 Dolphins.
Don Shula. Shula's restaurant. We got to go to Shula. Got to go to Shula.
The great coach, Don Shula.
So yeah, the Eagles were schooled in their home field, and all the poor 10-year-olds that went for what their grandfather told them was going to be the easy win game. But Grandpa, you said that you're taking me to the game.
There's a lot of tears in the parking lot. Yeah. A lot of tears on the ride home. And I got to tell you, we've been busting the NFL's balls on ridiculous offering. But
maybe
this weekend,
helps Dan Snyder with his sale too.
Right, exactly. I think he might have added
I think the NFL might have helped a little bit in a few of those calls at the end of the game, hoping to get Dan out of their ownership,
out of their hair.
Yes,
100%. All right, I'm not sure what else we got here as a quick show. The cheesesteak. I'm all for. Let me see if I can find that. I wanted to find that. Hold on a second. Matt, because there's been, with this, the World Economic Forum and
by the way, did you get the memo on the World Economic Forum dress code? Because pull that one up. I send that to you.
Yeah. Please do that. Everybody's in Chairman Mao outfit.
Yes, I mean, but look, it is the exact same Chairman Mao shirt with 3 different colors. You got to look at it; it's fucking amazing.
Yeah, well, because they don't want them all to look the same.
No, but look, and what's with the casual WEF?
Well, is the WF part of the G20 is the big question.
But now they're called the New Economy Forum. They've dropped the World Economic Forum. Now it's called the New Economy Forum because apparently the WEF wasn't going.
Honest to God. If you don't think about all this stuff, and where's Mike Myers in all of this? That's what I'm
telling you.
Where is Mike Myers?
Biden looked just like Dr. Evil, and he had like this weird robot walk too. The same robot. I am a humanoid robot.
All right, let me share it because there's a couple other shares that Elon is right. Twitter is the greatest. It's the greatest.
It used to be. It's coming back.
It's coming back because there's so many great shares. And let me share this on my Twitter feed. First of all, the New York Post, man, celebrates 100th birthday with raunchy lap day. What? First of all, New York Post, why does it got to be raunchy? Why can't it be artistic?
Right.
I don't get it. The guy's probably a Republican, right? So it's raunchy. If he was a Democrat, it would be a tranny. And it wouldn't be raunchy, it would be artistic. The media is framing all messaging. All right. And then this was a great one. Nobody's sharing this. This Tirana, Albania, mainstream media doesn't want to see massive protests against government, EU policies that are crippling the economy. It's going on a lot of places. And this was another good one here. Remember the 99% scientific consensus that the world was going to end from global warming? Well, the Daily Skeptic shares now, it's 41% of climate scientists don't believe in catastrophic climate change. Wait a second. You mean we got almost a flip of the coin? I thought the world was going to end. And this was from 2018. This was the messaging. In Africa, 3 independent data sets from 3 measurements using 3 different approaches. Sounds like 3, 3, 3. What is that, Matt? Do some math for me. 3 times 3. 9 times 3.
27.
27 scientific instrumentations showing that we're already past the point of no return. If we're already past the point of no return, why aren't we partying more? Like, why is there so much of the bullshit? I don't know.
Now bring up the pictures that our inside cameraman from TMZ got at the G20. Bring that up.
Hold on a second. I got more to talk about here in my feed. We're going through my feed. Iranian parliament votes overwhelmingly 227 to 63 to execute 15,000 protesters they've already arrested. I'm going to go out on a bet here and say that these 63 get added into the 15,000. I don't know. Crazy. The AI, Matt, let's just share this here. The AI work This is a painting I did, and again, I think the AI is a better painter than me. I don't know, but I diverge. I diverge. Take it over. Let me find the G outfit. Do something with Matt. Talk about your trade day today, Nasdaq. What did you do? Bring it in.
What did I do? Well, I was actually long coming into the PPI. Took that off on the spike and flipped short pretty quickly into it at 40.50. I was expecting possible move to 40.70 in the SPOOs, and we're sitting at 40.15. So, two-way trade, but we're kind of just sitting here now deciding where we want to close. The kind of the important number for me, there's a couple levels: 40.30 in the SPOOs, 40.70 is the next one. If we get over that, then you got 41.50. So the bonds are up 1. They spiked off the early low and now are coming back, looks like, to test. So they're up 1, but they're kind of just, they've broken out also. But it's going to be this weekly close that's going to be important. And with the holiday coming up, why wouldn't we close higher? Why wouldn't they just keep grinding them up higher? That's kind of what it feels like to me. But
here you go, Matt. Here's your two fearless advocates of freedom and democracy.
Well, you're showing us your screen, so you're not showing us the right thing.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I blew up.
You're looking at the servers that you're running this massive brain on.
That's Big Brother. Here we are.
Yeah,
there we are.
Zoom in a little bit because you can see it's the exact same shirt. It's got the same.
Exactly.
But look at and then look at the next one. They're fearless leader, right? Go to the next one.
No, wait a second. But this is a good one because now particles are triggering sudden heart attacks.
Air particles, just breathing.
It's not what
breathing
time is
it? So is that the chemtrails? What's that about? I got questions. If you're gonna give me that headline, I got questions again for you,
Matt. We got to go to Pfizer and Moderna because we're getting there. We're getting there.
Hold on. Just show Uncle Klaus.
Oh yeah, there's Uncle Klaus,
and he's got the button. So at least Joe and Justin don't have the button that says "I am a communist CCP member."
All right, let's go. Since air particles,
every one of them is they're all wearing. They all went to the same haberdashery.
It's a costume party. It's a costume.
What the hell's going on?
It's a costume. All right, let's go. Pfizer, Moderna. Since air particles are now causing heart attacks, it couldn't be anything else in the room. By the way, it's 12:05. Do you know where your spike protein is? At some point, if you've read all of these headlines, like if you got the jab, at some point you got to be asking yourself the same question. Like,
no,
what in the hell?
Not.
All right, look at Matt. It looked like it wants to toy. This really does look like it wants to toy here. It's got to close. Go ahead.
Well, if it was going to run to 54.55, it's, but again, we're at the top of value up in here on a 610 chart. So 41 back up here to 50. This is Pfizer and the high being 61. So, we're kind of sitting halfway. We're halfway between the all-time high and the recent low. In Pfizer. Moderna, I saw it was like 190 when it was approaching 190 earlier today. Yeah, it got up to 186. And again, this is just monster swings on the sine wave here. But when you break it down, we're just playing in the brackets, right? We're just playing in the bracketeering. Again, is the game here. So yeah, I think you got to be now is probably, again, after a run from the teens, let's call it 112 all the way up here to 190. That's a monster move, and nobody's getting the shots for their 0 to 6 year olds.
No, but they're going to raise it 10,000% the price of the jab for any idiot that's still going to.
Okay, so just a few people are going to fucking take care of it all from them. Okay, good.
I guess so. That's what I'm hearing anyway. That's the thread that I read.
Well,
thread that I read. The thread that I read.
So again, 194. We start getting above here. This gets real thin up in here. If they somehow can cure cancer and myocarditis with their next couple products, right? Because they got all the products to fix all the thing that they're breaking for you. So that should be fun.
Dingy.
And then BNTX, we haven't looked at that one in a while. And then we can look at Novax. Again, same type of moves here, right? Pick one and stick with it. I would probably say Pfizer's the easiest one to trade. It's probably the less thin. of all these names. The rest of them can go through the roof on on some type of weird news any moment. So you got to be careful with those stocks. And then Novavax, again, I know it was down in the teens. Yeah. So this has recovered nicely. Again, 16s down up to 24 or so now, but that's an ugly chart. Gosh, 332 to 16. Talk about ugly. Talk about going to zero. It's just a matter of time. Earnings never made money. Reported estimate. This is coming up, so we'll see. Actually, they just had them last week, so they blew them out. But how are these going to continue to grow and blow out when nobody's taking the stuff? Lagging information.
Right on. All right, Matt. Last but not least, and I cannot seem to find the tweet that I wanted to bring it in with, but it was. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Let me share this because this again has been a World Economic Forum agenda. First, they tried to tell you how terrible eating. Remember, the last 5 years or so of how terrible eating meat is for you.
Right.
And this is a giant study from the University of Washington's Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation. First of all, I'd like to point out that the University of Washington isn't, let's just say they're not red. They are now advocating that red meat consumption and various health outcomes has all been bullshit. It's all been bullshit. Shocking, right? Shocking. But what I wanted to do then was...
and smoking's good for you.
I don't want to go out to the 3 month, but I want to go and look at cattle for a second. I said I told a few people I'd cover cattle. So let's just go to the front. This is the cattle hog spread. Hold on a second. Let's just go to the front. These cattle for me, as long as it's holding this level here, and they put in a very, very nice doji candle here, tried to make a lower low, kind of dead pinged the double bottom, and they're going to close as of right now out of lower momentum. And for me, it's a good opportunity to re-put on this spread. Long D's, short Feb. You might want to give this a little bit more room, and if we can get back out to negative 250, D's under Feb, a great place to put this back on. D's cattle doesn't go off the board right until the last day of December. So it's a little nuance in trading cattle. A lot of the other agricultural commodities, those things expire, like the hogs, they'll expire the 10th business day of the contract month. The cattle trade all the way to the end of the month, and that's important here on this spread because you have a lot more time. You have 3 more weeks of price discovery available to you. So I've touted this spread. I touted it on the breakout. For sure, I would love to re-enter the spread down around 250. Long D's, short Feb cattle. The danger in this spread, and let me just point this out, Feb cattle is obviously taking a bigger hit than D's, and that's why this spread worked. The danger in this spread is Feb cattle is generally the contract month that can have a weather event change your economic future drastically, right? So if there is a giant snow event in cattle grazing and areas, you can do a lot of damage to the cattle herd with a giant snow event, and there's no escaping it, man. You'll see lock limit days in Feb cattle where on a weather event that you just don't see in the other contract months. So just a word to the wise. Always, you have to have stops, Matt. You have to risk assess. Unlike the brilliant young trading minds that don't think stops are a good risk management tool.
Of Sweet Caroline,
yeah, Sweet Caroline me this. Anyway, that's what I got, man. That's what I got. That's what I got.
I mean, this story. The questions from this story are just growing. It's unbelievable.
You cannot underestimate too how hard they're going to try to suppress. Like the New York Times, how do you not even mention the fact that the guy was the second biggest Democratic donor? How does it not even get mentioned?
Right.
Like this is their Ollie North moment for Democrats. Like I think that, in my opinion, they're going to get caught with their hands in the cookie jar giantly here. And if we get a Republican House, maybe there'll be investigations into this. You know who's got the biggest, for sure, has got the biggest sigh of relief right now? A1 Hunter Biden. He has got the most, he must have the most giant sigh of relief. Like there is a way bigger elephant in the room than me.
Well, I'm
now.
sure he's
Unless, Matt,
I'm sure he's on the balance. I'm sure he's on the balance sheet.
Unless some of those KYC AML accounts show A1 Hunter S. Thompson Biden as
Hunter S. Thompson Biden. They're kind of the same person, right?
They are. All right, that's what I got. I'm going to play some guitar, watch this market as I always play guitar during market hours. It keeps my hand off the mouse, Matt. Keeps my hand off the mouse.
Well, and this time of day is a good time of day. That's something to talk about. You know, the middle part of the day tends to be lunch lady land and go for a walk, get your head cleared and ready for the final couple hours possibly. But usually in today's one of those days, I'm looking at the SPOOs. We're kind of at the low of the trading day here at 1250. You know, we've been as low as 908.9. So, but basically we're within that candle that the CPI or the PPI number exploded. So it's that candle, one candle, 4008 to 4051. All we've done is slowly slide down, slowly slide down to that 08 level. So again, place your bets. 40-30 is really the important number for me. Are we going to close above it or below it on a day and or weekend? Friday is the big close always. So for me, you know, coming into a holiday week where it gets really thin next week, by the way, take it off because, you know, unless you're, you know, hanging out with Caroline and are good in those types of markets, but the very illiquid Alameda, you know, shitcoin markets that she was involved in. I mean, if that's what you like, that's what the equity markets are like next week. So they always are.
Right on.
They always
right
are.
on. All right, man. We're going to talk turkey and we're going to talk baking. I thought we'd get to it today, but I want to give it some time because, you know, I talked about this all the time to people about the trading pits, like what it's like. It's got to be so crazy, right. You know, and I'm like, yeah, it can be crazy and it can be high stress, but you know, there's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of time where you're searching for a different newspaper that you could do a crossword puzzle in because you got time to kill. And the other thing that we talked about a lot, and because you got to understand in the trading floor, you're done at 2:00, right? So I'm being serious here that there was a lot of time talking about cooking, right? The great cooking discussions in trading pits, because a lot of guys and gals that traded and were on the floor, they had the time to be the chef at home, the cook at home. Right. Anyway, I say this because Longplex, our friend Longplex, has just been killing it with shares of his homemade crusted apple pies and cinnamon danishes, cinnamon rolls. So we're going to talk dough tomorrow. And it's not going to be the money kind. It's going to be the actual baking kind of dough. I got a great share for you tomorrow on Market Vitals. We're going to get to the Manja Kitchen tomorrow. Right, hey, I just flipped everybody off, by the way. Did you see that? You ever notice that? When somebody like, why do I got to itch my ear with my middle finger? I mean, and my nose and my mouth. And anyway, subliminal. All these things are subliminal. Hey, New York Times, do your job.
Oh, by the way, and by the way, the New York Times also was, you know, saying that the war was over yesterday, and now apparently bombs hit Kiev, and you know that whole thread is. I got questions there too. Like I talked to people that are, you know, around and about. That war's not over, and Russia has not folded. Give me a break. Like stop with these. I mean, just the one after the other. There's no truth anywhere. None.
Truth is very difficult to find these days, man. And that's why we just bring opinions around price discovery. Everything else is guaranteed probably. In fact, our price discovery is guaranteed probably.
Guaranteed probably.
But listen, you got to mind the mo. You got to know the value range. You got to know the point of control, and you got to know your risk. And when you exceed your risk, you have to have this thing called a stop loss, right? And by the way, the stop loss isn't just a stop loss; it's a stop profit too, or a stop break even. I mean, that's hugely important that you use stops to protect your profit. And I think the stop break even, Matt, is the most underused and the most powerful trading thing that you can deploy. Like there's nothing worth.
Listen, sometimes when you're in a position and it's, let's say it's going against you just got to take some off, or quarter, a partial, even if it is, like you said, maybe you were in the money, it goes to red, then you got to kind of readjust again, right? So it is a very effective tool and underutilized by many. I agree 100%.
All right.
And
once again,
as we're talking, we're hitting lows of the day, and the plunge protection team blew through the lows of the day, and we are below 4,000. And I think 3,900 may come into play over the next couple of days for the SPOOs.
Well, Matt,
I said this to you, this market is setting up because of the severity of the move, and really nothing but a CPI and a PPI number. Nothing else has changed, and some earnings that were better than expected, but not great. Like they're still not great. We haven't had any bad news still. And so this market, I think, again, you go up 550 points in a matter of 2 weeks, you got to probably take a break here. I'm just for some semblance of normalcy, because that is not a typical move. And I said this to you yesterday, it feels like they're going to, walk this thing up. Everybody's going to have this dissonance around how the CPI traded just one way, right? And a real simple way to look at it is, okay, that's fine. But the difference between the opening today was that 5 minute, from 5:30 to 5:35, that bar that I just talked about, we didn't get above it at all. And now we're going below it. So you don't want to be on the bullish side the rest of the day is what that tells you. So if you've missed the whole day, now is not the time to try to catch knives, because we're still green for the day. And we have a long, we in theory, we can go down a long way today and really trap and reverse all those people that have been buying for the last 4 hours since we've opened. So that's what happens. Like, they weren't really taking it down, but they weren't taking it up either. So the pain trade was to be short kind of this morning, at some level, let's call it 250, something like that. Or I'm looking at the NASDAQ at 1250, and it got up to 12,120. Let's just say you sold it around 1250 on the way down. Well, it chopped around, went down maybe 100 points, then came back to that level. You could resell it, but nothing. That upside was holding. And same thing on the SPOOs. It kept holding at 30, 35. That was the level. So the levels. Bang it all day, and then when it finally breaks because people are tired and they couldn't get any more buyers, and that's where we are now. The thing just breaks, and we've come. Like I'm looking at the SPOOs right here. We're in 2-day balance now, which is interesting. So we've come right back to this center line right here. So now there's a battle between this line. Are we going to go test the 78 level, and then you start looking at the longer time frames, Bob? And, the SPOOs are very heavy. I mean, here's your CPI, whoosh, right? And then we blew through it the rest of the day. We didn't do that today. Here's your whoosh. And now we've reversed. So again, that trapped a lot of people today thinking we're going to do the same thing we did. But all you had to do is pay attention to that 5 minute bar. If we don't break out, you don't want to be long. And so there was no long off that number this morning. Matter of fact, it got short pretty quickly. And it couldn't really, again, hold that 40, 35, 30 area. And look how heavy this is. I mean, you get back below 3,950 and we will trade back down to at least 3,900, if not 3,750 again. Still could be bullish, but be careful. All these numbers are done now. We're not going to see them for another month on the inflation side. And, Biden's dressing up like Dr. Evil with Klaus and Justin. So you should question.
Wait a second. Wasn't the breaking news that he's sipping chicken soup because he couldn't make the dinner? He's sick.
Well, yeah, he canceled the dinner. I mean, he canceled the dinner. Wow, they're crushing it right now. I gotta cover some here.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. Please visit marketvitals.io and join our community. Please visit amazon.com, give Jeff Bezos some money, and also Manja TV some money, and buy some Shrimp Mojo. Thank you, Matt. Thank you,
Thanks,
Lee.
Bobby.
Thank you, Mark.